Όποιος μπορεί να εξηγήσει πώς καταφέρνει ένα κομμάτι που γράφτηκε πριν από 25 χρόνια και λέγεται I was born in Chicago, γεννήθηκα στο Σικάγο, και μάλιστα από ένα λευκό μουσικό ελληνικής καταγωγής να συγκινεί όπου ακούγεται σήμερα ανθρώπους που δεν έχουν πάει ποτέ και ίσως να μην πάνε ποτέ τους στο Σικάγο με τέτοιον τρόπο, ίσως αυτός ο άνθρωπος να μπορεί να καταλάβει και το μέγεθος της δικής μας συγκίνησης όταν υποδεχτήκαμε για δεύτερη φορά πριν από λίγες μέρες τον Nick Gravenites ή το δικό μας Νίκο Γρεβενίτη αν προτιμάτε και το φίλο του John Cipollina. Με τον Nick και τον John κουβεντιάσαμε για ώρα ιστορίες από το παρελθόν τους, από τη μουσική, ιστορίες όμως και για το μέλλον. Πάνω απ' όλα κουβεντιάσαμε για την άσβηστη αγάπη τους για το blues.
One of the things that stops people from growing is fear. When I first started hanging around in the black clubs in the ghetto, the reason I could do that was because I was fearless. I had a gun, you know, I was smoking marijuana, I had my shades on, you know, my sunglasses. I didn't have any fear, you know. So my early life was not easy. It was difficult. It's not easy to grow up a brute, you know, a tough guy, and you know, it was a hard life, you know. They teach you some hard lessons that way, you know. But it took that kind of person, kind of crazy, kind of dangerous, to break out of the normal forms and to go into the ghetto by himself, you know, and to experience the black experience for himself, you know. It took that kind of person. It didn't take a nice college guy or anything like that. It took a hard, you know, crazy kind of guy to do that.
So you felt accepted by them, by black people?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. All that. See, fear keeps us from understanding. Fear keeps us out of certain places, you know. Once I got in there, the fear was gone. The people, you know, they were people. They treated me very well. I never had any problems with
What was
blacks.
the experience like touching the blues?
Oh, I had fun. That's what it was like, fun. In fact, that's why I think I got into blues.
Decal blues made me feel so bad. Decal blues, yeah, make me feel so bad. Well, it makes me think about the time I once had.
So I was born in Chicago, as you say, and my family were a Greek family, and, you know, very conservative people. You know, they dressed conservatively, they lived conservatively, they saved their money, they worked hard every day, you know. It was very conservative people. But I was a young man, I wanted to have fun.
What were you doing at the time? Were you studying?
It's hard to explain. I was a hoodlum. At the same time, I was at the university. And those two cultures, you know, of the criminal, you know, and the intellectual, you know, I brought them together, you know. That's what I was doing at that time. Yeah.
What was the quality that you found in blues and that was absent from your previous life as a Greek in America?
Well, it's quite easy to explain that. The blacks that I saw and listened to and stuff, They were unschooled. They had no education. They were not trained as musicians. They didn't know the notes they were hitting. But that didn't stop them from playing music. If they pick up a guitar and strum it, you know, if it didn't sound right, they'd change the tuning. Oh, that sounds better. You know, if they didn't know how to put their fingers on the guitar, they took a glass and ran it along, you know. Nothing stopped them. In other words, there was nothing stopping what was in their hearts from coming out. The instrument wasn't going to stop them. The lack of education wasn't going to stop them. Nothing was going to stop them. It came right out. That's what I enjoyed the most.
And did you talk Paul Butterfield and the rest team to the blues? Were they aware of the blues scene?
They were aware of it, but not the scene. You know, it got to be where I took Paul Butterfield to his first blues club. You know, come on, don't be afraid, you know, I got my gun. No one's going to bother us, you know, that sort of thing. And after a while, other people would come down from the university and people would call me up and ask me to escort them. It was almost like the Gravenites tour of the ghetto.
John, how did you get in the blues? You were not from Chicago originally, you were from...
Largely through Nick. Nick did everything except when I was in Chicago and went down to Maxwell Street into the ghetto. He didn't go with me.
No, dangerous.
Yeah, he didn't have a gun that time. I went down there with 3 white girls dressed to the hilt in a rented car. And I never will forget that experience. That was one thing I wished that I wasn't there. And my manager at the time was the person who introduced me to Nick and Paul Butterfield and all those people. That's how Nick and I met. Actually, when I met Nick for the first time, I had heard about the legendary Nick Gravenites from my manager. I heard all these stories about how he was the musician's musician, and Nick came out from Chicago and was staying at my manager's house. And at the time, he was my manager was having marital problems. And all he needed was Nick. So in the middle of the night,
to clear the case.
And I had this band that I was in, this young band called Quicksilver Messenger Service. And Nick we had talked about it, well, whenever you do a record, Gravenites is going to produce it. He is a musician's musician, he knows everything, okay. And I was going to meet this legendary blues man. I met him in the middle of the night. Ron Pulte brings him into my house. Nick is, as we say in the United States, shit-faced drunk. He is out of his tree. And I was very impressed. Here was my first experience with a real blues man. And I remember he had this jacket, which we later called his shoulder man bar.
Yeah,
he came in with this jacket. And in the right-hand pocket, he had a bottle of rye. In the left-hand pocket, he had a 38 snub nose. And he would wave both of them around, you know.
The producer.
And he came, and this is it. And he was like, I'm gonna, you know. And to a Californian, you know, this was quite an experience, you know.
Decal blue make me feel so bad. Decal blue make me feel so bad. Well, it makes me think about a time that I once had, a time that I once had, a time that I once had. Makes me think all about a time I once had. Makes me think all about a time I once had. Well, it makes me think all about a time I once had.
I like being a blues man. It's a good life.
16 months ago, you recorded a live set in Athens. What were your experience from that recording? From that concert, first of all?
Concert? Well, you see, that was the first time I was ever in Greece. So you've got to know that everything I did, whether it was the concert or going to the bathroom, didn't matter, was a special experience for me, you know. First time is always one that you remember, you know, no matter what it is. Yeah. First time you have a girlfriend, first beer you ever drink, you remember these things. So everything I did that tour was special, you know, I remember it all, you know.
Mike Bloomfield, Paul Butterfield, Janis Joplin, they're all gone.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. Jimi Hendrix. How do you feel they were your friends? I mean,
yeah.
Your closest friends.
Well, I've talked about that, you know, it's, I invested a lot with those people, emotionally, artistically, and when they all died, then it sort of left me alone, you know, kind of lonely, you know. But at the same time, those people are gone, and eventually I'm going to write some stories about these people, about the rock and roll scene in San Francisco, about the blues scene in Chicago, and my life, how I met Paul Butterfield, and how you know, I met Bloomfield and Janis Joplin, you know, and various people, and but I have to wait for a few more people to die first, you know, because they can't sue you from the grave.
But you still got John, and time's on your side. Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Very nice meeting you. Thank you.
Well, just thinking about you, baby. Takes drugs and alcohol. Yes, just thinking about you, baby. Takes drugs and alcohol. You tried to hurt me, baby. Well, how come I don't feel nothing at all? My heart's like a pincushion, baby. Oh, shot full of holes. Yes, my heart's like a pincushion, baby. Oh, shot full of holes. Yes, the body sure takes a beating in defense of the soul. I'd rather be dying of poison, babe, than feel the way I do. I'd rather be dying of poison, baby, than feel it do. Yes, drugs and alcohol, baby, ain't letting nothing get through. thinking about you, baby. Takes drugs and alcohol. Yes, just thinking about you, baby. Takes drugs and alcohol. Tried to hurt me, baby. Well, how come I don't feel nothing at all?